I've found through various facts and figures that Joe Rogan's net worth is over $50 million, and that's actually $15 million more than the estimated figure last year. Yep, a man can be worth an extra $15 million in under 1 year. These projects are about to skyrocket, as some sources say Joe's podcast will crack $100 million this year. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how Joe Rogan makes his millions. Stick with me and let's get into it. Quite a number of the world's population knows who Joe Rogan is. He is the New Jersey native who holds a black belt in Taekwondo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you could say he knows his fighting. While this background story might not be that popular, Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, surely is popular. This and a list of other achievements makes him worth that much. Before podcasting, Joe Rogan had dabbled into several other practices, doing what he both loves and looking for his big break. Well, he definitely got it. Let's see what he had to do to be worth close to $50 million today. Back in 1997, Joe Rogan began conducting a post-fight interview for the UFC before becoming a commentator for the boxing outlet. He gained fame in the 1990 sitcom News Radio. His reputation and clout grew when he became the host of Fear Factor from 2001 to 2006. Fear Factor was the platform Joe Rogan needed to excel, and well, excel he did. In 2009, he started the podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience. As of this day, Michael Bisping reveals in his Believe Me You podcast that Joe earns about $75,000 per episode. $75,000 for just an episode, and this figure is rapidly rising. Looking at the fact that he churns out a minimum of 1 episode per week, that's a lot of money in someone's pocket every year. Now, you might also be eyeing how much you can bank from podcasting, right? I get it. I've thought about opening my own podcast channel after reading about Joe Rogan, and I know a lot of people have. How does he make so much money on this podcast? Well, he doesn't give a fuck about the money in the first place. Yeah, like me, I know you find this absurd, because seriously, how can you not think of the money when it's about to crack 6 figures an episode? Well, for Joe, the content of his podcast matters. He's put time and effort into creating spectacular content and building a loyal audience. Plus the fact that he got to interview big guys like Kevin Hart and Elon Musk, he is all but well destined to make over $75,000 an episode. You might think that's enough money for one person to earn. Well, that's not the case for Joe Rogan, as he's created many other avenues I'll get into now that is added to his net worth. Have you seen the movie Zookeeper? That movie about a zookeeper finding out that the animals he is looking after can talk? Well, that movie made approximately $170 million in the box office. And if you're wondering how this concerns Joe Rogan, well, it turns out that Joe featured in that movie and was part of the payroll. That's just another additional income source to add to the bucketful that he's earning from his podcast. Outside of movies, Joe Rogan is of course a stand-up comedian. He creates comedy albums as well as performing live. Since the year 2000, Joe has actually created 5 collections to date. In 2014, his Rocky Mountain High album peaked at number 3 on the Billboard charts. Now, what do these numbers really mean? It means that as long as you keep buying every one of those 5 albums, which are still in circulation, Joe Rogan will keep smiling at his bank balance. That is because Joe has now created entertainment assets that he gets paid in royalties every time you stream him on Netflix or click on a podcast clip on YouTube. Well, that's money in the bank account for old Joe. There you have it, guys. Joe Rogan and all his millions, and exactly how he is making that money. If you're interested in podcasting, following Joe's podcast is not a bad thing. I hope you like this video. If you do, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to always be on the loop in the young hustlers of the world. Thanks for watching. Keep hustling. Bye.